Oh. Hey, Grand Risings family. Welcome to the Blacknificent show here on the galaxy of we.net. Let me just put a little bit of more volume on there because I know that somebody's going to say, oh, you haven't got enough volume on the microphone. I know that. I'm a softly spoken giant. Yeah, right. Yeah. Hey there, welcome to this Strong's program here on the galaxy of we.net. Beautiful spring time. First time I actually walked out for a long time without something in my head. And it actually feels warm if you stand in the sunshine. Yeah? So it's getting there. It's getting there. But not like some of our little islands in the Caribbean beyond. But still, anyhow, we're there. We're getting there. We're getting there. And it's coming up to a celebratory time, as I'm reminded by my sister Sandra. Yep. I'm reminded by my sister. She just gave me a nod. No, it's okay. It's all right. You can stay there if you want to stay there, son. All right. Yeah, so so we're here. We're live in the studio, right? And if you want to join us in conversation, I'm going to tell you the line number now is 0203 289 6504. And you can also watch us live on the Facebook, and we're live on the we're live on the YouTube as well. On the YouTube as well, Blacknificent Radio Show. I'm just clearing up my eye. I don't know what's happening there. Probably got some little gritty in there. Anyhow. Right.
Grand Rising.
Welcome, my sister. Come on here.
Blacknificent family, Grand Rising.
Mm.
And as Brother Aston says, it's a glorious, it's a beautiful day rising out there. And for people of colour, we need to get our at least 3 hours worth of sunshine. Yeah. So on your marks, get set. Today's a good day to start topping up the melody.
Yeah, don't go stripping off like them mad white people stuff.
But at least go out there, take a walk out there, feel the sun on your face, feel the little breeze, feel the sun in your hair, on your head, and just smile, because none of us are guaranteed any day, let alone today, let alone this minute. And we've been blessed to have the opportunity. So give thanks, bask in it for as long as you can.
I've got to give out a strong greetings to a good friend of mine. I know that he'll be in full celebrations later on at the Golden Anchor. Super Run, and also Doc Murdoch as well. So, if you want to be in celebratory mood, and come down there where we play the vinyl.
Okay. And celebrating the Earth Strong, another year around the sun, and all the experiences that we've had in that period. If you're able to do it, go down there and raise a glass and smile and joke and laugh with others. That, again, if we're thinking about medicine for the soul, that's definitely a good medicine for the soul.
Definitely. We need to be able to come together and really enjoy ourselves. So let's make this year a year that we actually do this, And as I know, I've shared with you before that on the first of the month I do this thing called My Day. All right, so I just take that day there. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Let me tell you the concept of this thing here. Right. On the 1st of July is my Earth Strong. So I said, you know what? To try and make life a little bit easier and everything, on the first of that day, of that month there, I'm just going to make it something that I can just do for myself. Because when we really look at things, we're doing a lot of things for other people. But when do we actually take a quality time, a quality space for ourselves directly, you know, and just dedicate that whole day to doing for you, you know? And not only is it like a kind of like celebratory type exercise, but it's also a time to assess on all aspects of what's going around. So it could be like finance, it could be your emotional state, it could be like your spiritual state as well, you know, just to balance yourself out. And also to set goals as well. So, you know, what you're going to achieve over that month, you know, something that you're going to make your life a little bit better. Yeah. So that's what I do, anyway. That's what I do. So hence that's why you see me with a smile more than a frown. But yeah, you know, it's true. It's true though. It's true. You know, I just put things in perspective, and you know, the more you do something, it becomes that instinctive habit of yours. You know, so that's why I probably don't get too agitated at certain things that I'm presented with, or you know, that affects us in general in that way there. And have a good analytical look at life. But because I've gone through that process of seeing what it is and how it's actually impacting not only myself but life in general, my community, right? As fractioned as it is, um, you know, my community, our life, our lifestyle, and everything else. Because even now, I know that there's probably some who are in total confusion as to what's happening in America, right? Personally, I think the man should be certified, but along with his cronies. But you know, hey, you know, they say that's the best that they've got, so they put him in charge, isn't it? Isn't it? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
So I'm not even going to go down that
There you go. There you go.
route. What I am going to go back to is that comment that demonstrated self-love, the recognizing on the first of each month you do for self. There's another 28 days in some months, 29, 30, 27 days in other months, whereby you can do for others. But in that time, you take time out for self. And unless we do love ourselves and we can demonstrate that love for self, it makes it very difficult for somebody else to love you, or for you to receive the love or even give the love, because you're not sure. You end up compromising. But if you're sure in terms of yourself, you're comfortable in terms of who you are, you then do, like you say, that smiling bit a bit more. You don't take things on board. You don't allow the trials and the tribulations that life throws at each and every one of us on a daily basis. You don't internalize it, and if you do, you don't take up real estate in it, and that's the main thing.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what it is as well. And not all of us are privy to a full rounded education of social engagement, life skills, right? So a lot of us we just learn things that are necessary or impactful on ourselves, right? So when we take a look at ourselves in general, we just do what we need to just get through the day, right? If we want to look and participate in like something larger than that, for instance, like national impact, right? Then we would go by usually by information that's imparted to us by others who are the forefront runners, or those who are influencing the changes of the, i.e., politicians. But not many of us know a lot about politics and how it actually works. But they ask for our participation in that, right? By voting, right? Now, in effect, we're supposed to know things about that, right? Because it is impacting on us and affecting us in general, right? So we're supposed to know things like that, but unfortunately, society doesn't educate you to know about that or have to know about that. Okay. Now, you would probably take that on yourself, or your parents would probably guide you into that, or somebody or a mentor would guide you into that to show you your part, your role that's involved in you participating in those type of things, you know?
Yeah.
And how to make influence and how to actually be influential as well, right? For instance, like writing a book, right? Putting down your memoirs, right? Just putting that brick in history as such in the wall of like life, right? Just putting your brick in history to say, this is what I had to do. This is how it's impacted me. These are the things that worked and not worked and everything else. Somewhere along the line, somebody may pick it up, right, and say, wow, that's inspirational, right? You never know what part of segment of life that is. I can when, right? So when you have things like that, right, it's important to just be aware of your environment, right? And it's not to say that you're embracing everything what's coming in, or you have to be part of this, but you should have a knowledge, a comfortable position of where you stand and sit with all of this, and also be mindful of the impact that it is going to have on you, right? And the influence that it is going to have on your life, right? Whether or not you choose to be part of it or not. Yeah? Okay.
Well, I don't think so our choice, we are part of it because we're part of life. The question is whether or not you internalize it, you become a reactor, and like I say, you take up the real estate in that space, because life being what it is, it's going to continually provide those curveballs. It's going to continually provide the distractions, and it's whether or not you get involved in those distractions and allow it to take you off course. Because if you think about the cruise ships and large ships, or even aeroplanes, they're plotting a course from point A to point B. They know what their end destination is. And if there's a gust of wind, if there's a big wave, and they get pushed just a millimeter or off course, that's our Christopher Columbus.
That young boy there.
And you saw the havoc that he created when he got off course. So what we need to do, we need to be mindful.
Should have bust his ass and send him back to it. Yeah, man. You know, it's one of these things that I've mainly because I've just taken that time to slow down and see what is actually happening. You know, some of us do, some of us don't. You know, I'm not going to say I'm frustrated with it, because I'm not, right? But I have to be mindful of those that are making a career out of things like what I do. Okay, the better life, and wow, you could be rich, and manifestation and things like this, right? Now, all these things, right, all those type of things there and such like as well are within our grasp, right? The skill and the time that we put into it can be developed, right? Just like what I said, that if you do it time and time and time and time, and then it becomes a habit or habitual, right? You'd be surprised how it seems like life is speaking to you, right? You don't jump at everything that is actually presented to you. You know, one of the things that I know that we've done here on the Galaxy over the time, we always make a reference to ancestral practices, right? Practices as in the Egyptology and their spiritual, social ethos, right? In other words, the Kemetic. I was gonna use the European concept, but it's not. Characteristics of their spiritual focus, right? Right. When the Europeans came along, they saw these characteristics which they associated with living, and also spiritual effigies, right? And then when they saw that, oh, that's their gods, right? Because obviously they had their concept of God, godlike focus, right? Not realizing that it's a way, and they were just using that as a symbolism, right, of the inner characteristic. So it's the more the spiritual and the essence, right? Right. And then even when I break it down, like over the years that I've been doing this type of thing that I've been doing, right, it's kind of like it can seem confusing when you first go into this thing. But you think about it now. If you had 10 uncles and aunts, you would know each one of those aunts and uncles, right? And if you had to get a dollar from if you had to get if you had to get some money from them, right? You would know how to approach each one to sweeten them up, really.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the reason why is because you know their character.
Yeah.
And that's basically all that is. Is that you know the characters of each of these essences, and then you would look for that, because it's kind of like you're saying, you know what, give me an imitation of Uncle Freddie, right? Right? Or Uncle Clive, right? Or Aunt Mabel, right? Give me an impersonation of that. And then you be there and you're going, oh, she goes like this, or he goes this, and he speaks like this, right? But in essence, you're taking in the essence of what that person is. And then you're using that to express, right? How would they handle, how would that person handle this situation, that situation, or whatever, right? And then when you look on it in that way, that's all those things are. To simplify it. That's all it is. It's that each one of them have a characteristic of how they handle a situation, right? And one is more adept. Is it adept?
Adept.
Yeah, adept at handling a situation more than the other. And that's when you call on that person or that essence to be there, a presence, to say, okay, then guide me through this, right? And that's all it is. That's all it is, right? But also, as you go through that process of knowing your aunts and uncles,
mm,
it builds your character within you,
mm, mm,
right? So, in essence, you're breaking down all those things within you to build you.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah.
mm,
So that's all it is really. That's all it is. Rather than as I see and as I see it, that many have disconnected themselves from that process.
mm,
Yeah,
mm,
of doing the inner work
mm,
and just allowing their outer work to come through. And as you can see and hear, right, that many are just coming to the road of self destruction
mm,
in that way,
mm,
right?
mm,
So in that, for many of us, I think that is a case of that. If the work is there and it needs to be done, right? The availability is there. I think even more accessible now than what it was when I first was introduced to this, and it wasn't that long ago either,
mm,
right? Because I used to see the material. I bought the material in book form,
mm,
right? And it sat on my shelf for years
mm.
to the extent of that. Do you know when the page of the book goes yellow?
Okay, that tells me a number of years.
Right?
Because it's taken on a life form of itself, and if you've done nothing with it, at the very least, it will start to separate itself.
Exactly. Right? So, and then like when I finally said, let me just have a read through these things,
Mm,
and then when it came at the right time,
mm,
and very effective and
mm,
transformative
mm,
for myself anyway. And then out of that developed my thing. What I say is my day,
mm,
because
mm,
I saw the importance of 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 self analysis,
mm,
right, and regular self analysis. If because like some say, oh, we do it on seasonal, like the
mm, mm,
springtime,
mm,
autumn, summer,
mm, mm,
winter, and
mm.
everything else. Some do it on those times there, but I chose to do it like on a monthly because of the lunar cycles,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And part of the initiation work or process, right, introduces all these essences every month.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So like this month here is the month of Amun Ra,
okay.
right? So that in that way there you would be looking and focusing on
Mm,
peace, oneness,
okay,
yeah. And then
okay.
like in most things you would look for that because you're more focused on that. You're
Mm,
looking for that
mm,
peace
mm,
and oneness,
mm,
and you're looking for that in a lot of things. Like for instance, you're probably watching the news,
mm,
right? And you're saying, well, where's the oneness in this,
mm,
right?
mm,
Other times you're looking on it, but you're looking for something, or you're looking and hearing something else,
mm, mm,
right? But
mm.
because you're focused on that element, and then obviously you would come up with an answer, probably totally contrary to what is being said, but it's a formulation of what is necessary,
Mm,
what you see as necessary,
mm,
you know?
mm.
Recently, the who was it? Idris Elba.
Okay.
They released a documentary.
Mm,
I think it was on the BBC, yes, a documentary, and he was looking at the knife crime,
okay.
right?
Okay.
And like even within that concept of the oneness and things like this.
Mm,
And the thing is that I know him, right? But this we're talking a good 15, 20 years now.
mm,
15, 20 years um, back, right?
mm,
Of where I say I knew him,
mm,
right? To
mm,
say, we see each other, we say hello, blah blah, have a conversation and things like this,
mm,
right? And then it was just the other day. I said, "Oh, child, let me just try and reach out to this man about the knife crime thing." And I don't know why. Again, manifestation, right? But all of a sudden, plop, Eric, his link came up on Facebook, and I thought, yeah, right, yeah, right. So I made a few comments around what he was doing on there and everything, and then he messaged back and everything, and I'm thinking, this not, I don't even think this is even type of thing, you know. It might be probably his press or something, you know. They've got other people that do things for them, and then like I gave him some pointers of like things that, you know, if it was him, he would be able to associate like our connection, you know, and everything. And he goes, yeah, and he was telling me about this time and what that and that certain things down there. And I thought, okay, then maybe is him, maybe not. Still, right? And we was having a little back and forth about the knife crime and things like this, you know, and everything like that. I invited him obviously to come on the program as well and all that. And he said, "Oh yeah, we'll talk later on about that." And I went, okay, so he may be joining us one day, maybe joining us one day in conversation, yeah, all right. But even for things like that, right? You know, it literally is because you develop that vibration of expectation of receiving, as and I've shared a few times, haven't I, of certain things that's happened, you know, and let's say I am in the attitude of gratitude, right? But when it comes and things do come like that, you just think, wow, I just wish everybody could do this thing, you know, and to make use of it as well, you know. So in that way, there, you know, it's a very very powerful tool and a way of being as well, you know. So yeah, so I'm in the attitude of gratitude right now,
and that is the attitude for the altitude. So a couple of things that you said in terms of slowing down to speed up, and it's only when you do slow down that you have that opportunity to give thanks from a attitude of gratitude, but also recognize that we all have the opportunity to do that manifestation. We all live in that space. Because some of us are traveling around so fast, we don't take the opportunity to respect the nature and the energy forces, the life forces. So in you thinking something, the universe will present it to you. So sometimes you think to yourself, why me? Woe am I? Why does this always happen to me? Because you put it out there. But because you're moving so fast, you actually forgot that you posted that letter. But you posted that letter, it got to the sender, the universe, and it's coming back to you as you've asked for it. Or you've not been specific enough. You've put a location, you've put an address, but you've not put the postcode. So to be fair, it's going to get to the road, but it could be one of 100 houses. It just depends on which one the postman puts it through.
Oh no, so don't say that.
Be mindful of your thought process, because that is, you said, Brother Aston, you're watching the news. Depending on what your thought process is, you're either attracting the positive out of what you hear, or you're dwelling in the negative that the news will constantly give you, because that's the nature of the media in that regard or in that respect. So I would say just be mindful of that, and to give yourself grace as you are going through.
Can I hold you on to that one, right? Grace. How do you perceive grace to be?
So for me, when I think about giving myself grace, it's not beating myself up. It's using the insights on the knowledge that I've gained as a result of whatever the experience was.
Mhm.
If I think about my experience in the mental abuse and the physical abuse,
Yes.
I could be beating myself up, kicking myself metaphorically up and down any street
Mhm.
with that thought process of, woe is me, why me? Now I'm going to have to bury myself
Mhm.
because I'm too ashamed to speak about it. I'm too ashamed. And you end up living in a cycle of a downward spiral, a depression, whereby if you think to yourself, okay, that is part of life's experience. If I'm going to give myself grace, I'm not going to live in yesterday's experience. I'm going to look at this where I am now and recognize that that was an experience. With the knowledge and the skills that I have now and the information that I have now, would I make the same decision? And the answer to that is no. And partly is because of the work that I've done internally for self. And you've mentioned it in terms of the loving yourself. So in giving grace, it's
even saying it,
Yeah.
saying it, because some of us, we just are not used to even saying that.
no.
You know, right? I've seen, I've come across it sometimes. People who are in marriage, relationships, partnerships, and that's not even uttered, or they move away from it. You know, they put a barrier up, and I said, wow, if that's the person that I'm with, right, I want them right there with me, right there with me, no matter where we're there. I want them right there with me. They see you, they see me, they see me, them see you. You understand? And it's not like, oh wow, like, no. You should be able to. Well, then again, hey, that's how I operate. But I know that there are many who you don't even know them in a relationship, and the next minute you find out they have children and wife and everything. I said, oh, I never know.
And from a conversation and a communication, you're thinking, okay, I don't necessarily need to be in your business. And sometimes we say to ourselves, oh, we don't want somebody in our business. But if you go back to that conversational that you shared with us in terms of you may have many uncles and aunts and you're taking on board their energy and you can thrive as a result of that. I'm not saying that you need to be in my business, but I'm saying that there is going to be an opportunity for a cross-fertilization of ideas and thoughts that can enrich the two of us. It doesn't have to be negative connotation.
There's one, I think I did share this with you as well. It was just a clip that came up on my phone, and it was that people were taking photos at like a wedding or birthday party and things like this, and they had a QR code, right, which was on their invitation, I presume. And what they would do, they would take photos and then upload them to this QR code or this app and everything, and then people could access those photos and things like this. Now, and I am pushing this as well, right? Just like I have my day, right? I think that. And I know that you are pushing this as well because, like, you had a family reunion,
Yeah.
and all this type of thing. Yeah, the thing what I'm pushing towards that right now, we need to have an update of our photos, right? Brief bio of like what what's going on with you, whatever, location possibly, and things like this, because we need to have this family tree, right? We need to have this connectivity
Mm.
as well.
Mm.
We don't, back in time, right? We had those griots who knew, the that person who would be going around. They would know anything and everything. They know the entire history, word of mouth, and all this type of thing. There, we should be using our technological prowess, right, to actually bring us closer together. We should go. We should be in charge of that, right? I am emphasizing why, right? Because obviously, you're up to, you're bringing yourself up to speed and efficient on them things there. But it shouldn't be a thing that we should let get away from us either, right? Right? There are still some out here who do not even know how to handle a telephone. You understand? Right? We got this thing, this mobile device, and half of the things on there we don't even know how to use it. But some people are scrambling to get the latest, right? But are they fully utilizing the one that they have now? You know. But these are the type of things that we should be in charge of as well. Don't be shy. Don't use the thing of, oh, I'm too old to be updating my knowledge or understanding of the functionability of what it is, because as life moves on, society moves on, we should be moving along and developing as well. Right? And yes, some of the things I like are from nostalgia, right? Are they outdated? Yes, some of them are, right? But at the same time, I give a full acknowledgement to the development of society in the positive way, right? And also for those who are coming through, I'll be in the listening ear for what they see for their future, because like it's not everybody out there is living in the negative. I guarantee you that, because there's many youngs out there who are extremely positive about their future.
But on that note, bearing in mind,
yes, I stopped you the flow there.
Timing, and it's
yeah.
midday meditation. So when we started our conversation speaking about how beautiful it is out there, and recognizing then that we need to take the opportunity to slow down in order to speed up, to go out there and feel the sun. The days are getting longer, the mornings are brighter, the evenings are getting longer. And whilst we do have the sunshine, let's go out there and just bask in it as much as we're able to. So take the opportunity as part of your midday meditation, as part of our midday meditation, just to, listen to the music, feel the message within the music, slow your mind down so you can hear the music, and breathe. Take the breaths that children take from the stomach, not only from the back of the throat, and bask in what you're hearing as part of the midday meditation. It's cool today. To that door, don't send the rain. Still heaven holds back the clouds. You can show me that fire unspared. Every day I find that falling every day is in my door. Is in relation to come. No. Down the day, are you here? Your tricks on eyes. You got that chill down in your soul, you see. The heat inside of me for so
Yep. Yep. Oh, don't go in. Oh, this moving off. Like a laptop.
Was enough to break me. See, my battles was never
I don't know. I didn't know that. How come?
Friday. That's the
Well, that's okay. They, what they've done, they inherit things that they never developed into the mass media. It's only recently that I've even seen you can do other news searches. That's recently. Crazy. Yes, so now in the power of the breath, be your energy force right now.
Watch for the corners and watch for the turns. Ride easy, take your time, yeah. Gotta have you safely on. It's not very often that you feel this way. No, it's not every day, no. So wherever you are, tell me what to say. If I call on you now, say I need you tonight. This very minute, how long will it take you from where you are to rush to my scene? From always just moments since we last seen, babe. It feels like the 1,000 years could be the minutes. Yeah, that's exactly how it feels. Don't think about train or taxi, anything. But you got to get train of each other. Oh, you got to get me in the shower. Oh, child. I try to tell myself I'm a man, I'm strong, I can wait. Still, I find myself at my gate, yeah. Looking up, looking down, looking just about everywhere. Hoping that in a minute you will be here, yeah. And capture this magical moment.
Because it's very good.
Come across the years, another page in history, yeah. And don't be
So
get
because
represented
the money
this
belly,
girl.
it means in that it's going to be that strong.
Yeah, you got to get you in your sorrow.
Fermented.
Take your time. Watch for the corners and watch for the curves. Take your time. Gotta have you safely
So
on.
you're going to the event for the ladies?
Yeah.
Where's that?
The one that pays
I keep you tonight, this very minute. I will only take you where you are. You rush to my sleep, even though it's just moments since we last seen, babe. It feels like the years between the minutes. That's exactly how it feels. So take the bus, train, bicycle, anything. About you got to just bring it I think you got to get me in your hello. Yeah, it's what I want you to do. Take your time, watch for the harness and watch for the turn. Take your time, man. Gotta help you save your chance. Oh, time. Got to come see me. You know it's a love. Saving it for you, love. I read you come see me. Look at you know it's a love. Get you right. You take your time. Watch for the corners and watch every turn. I say you got to get rid of this. Saving it for you and me. It's a love you.
Yes, you're in tune to the midday meditation here on the Blacknificent Show on the galaxyafrowe.net.
It's somebody got me hypnotized. Your body got me so alive. Me on the you make me fantasize. You got me feeling like it's paradise. You get that body, yeah, than the morning sun. Your body really tastes good. You get that body from you cannot be denied. Oh girl, you look like a star from off the sky. The way you're sexy, I need you in my life. Talk to me, give me a try. I don't wanna spend a little time with you. Oh, oh. Now let me show you how I roll white. I need the time, baby, minute. Step into my life and close the door. Close that door. I got what you need and so much more. So much more. Get that body from. Yeah, that done the morning sun. Your body really tastes good. Get that body from. Get that body from. Yeah, that done the morning sun. Your body really tastes good. Get that body from. She bubble up, me like how she whine on. The rasta look you so me nah waste my time. Me love her pretty face, so me like her cute smile on. Her 60 figure and finish, she full of style on. And still know, say me don't feel no way on. Me a boy, me no rank, me no play on. Me woulda get her if it was yesterday. But today and you alone lead me way on. Get that body. Yeah, that done the morning sun. Your body really tastes good. Get that body from. Get that body from. Yeah, that done the morning sun. Your body really tastes good. Get that body from. I noticed everything from head to toes. Your lips do something that I can't lose. Your hips keep me following the way you look. Can't deny. No, I can't deny it. I said I wanna spend a little time with you. Oh, oh. I let the show on I let the time it better. Come into my life and close the door. Close that door. I got what you need and so much more.
Oh, man. They got cinema around here.
Look at that body. Yeah, put that in my time.
Not no, it's in Jamaica.
Get that body. Yeah, put that in my time. Your body get that body from. I wanna spend a little time with you. Oh, I let the show
It's great, doesn't it? It's
Don't so insecure.
You know what he's doing? You got your mind.
Yeah, man, I will do this. Worried, tired of the fuss and fight. But if you gotta go, I'm with you all time. Alright, it's a moment, baby. Cause if you leave, there will be open door. Cause I don't wanna hurt no more. You're so insecure. And if you're going down, what are you waiting for? I've been pushed far. Can't take it anymore. So man, perfect that said them get put me a chat. It's not like they can't get put like a but me like a baby. She's been another man's favorite. I know seeing believing, but she always assuming that I'm with somebody else. She's like not giving her enough time. Baby girl, you wanna leave? I'll be fine, yeah. The open door, 'cause I don't want you're so insecure, and if you're going down, what are you waiting for? Can't take it anymore.
Okay, check for that it's still on. I said, I better go check that it's still on.
To these fish step up in so you think set up in a certain things we not go party. We say we nah go down and up it easy. You want leave go we up and yes, can not yeah. It's like you want if we do you like but we scroll to be on the boat we not go but I can't no longer care. We got to run fast. Let's end it on a good note. Declare you ain't getting quality time, and I'm always stressing you out. What more can I say? You do this every day. This is the same thing every day. I'm ready. Every open door. You're so insecure. You're going, girl. What are you waiting for? Oh, can't take it anymore. Oh, you're so insecure. You're going, girl. What are you waiting for? I've been through this before. Can't take it anymore. It's gonna be hard. Don't they wanna fit you on it?
So, I'm sorry to see it over here. Sorry to now. Okay. Music. £70 and £170 and all that. So, easy. Right. Huh? Looking at the old shoes. There's a few artists coming over. £200 for a ticket to go to a show on Monday. Is it full up?
Shaggy will be killing this beat.
My thing. I just selected over here and you will watch. There's a young lad here talking about how his
Shaggy will be killing this beat.
right up till the morning.
Woman, you are spoiling me with your presence and your grace. The dreams you make come true for me. No one else can take your place. Despite of all the wrongs I've done to you, you still stay. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I wish I could find a way to repair it all. There's no way to reimburse you or pay you back. Being strong inside of a woman. There's a heart that I would never want to break. We've been a man and no woman. It's a bond I never want to break. Oh, good woman. Oh, good woman. Good woman. Ah, good woman. Woman, you've been spoiling me with your smile and simple ways. In spite of inconsistencies that may arise from day to day, you made my house a home. I love with you, I feel safe. And I'm truly, yeah, that I am truly grateful. Any time of day, you always a call. There's no way to reimburse you. I couldn't pay you back. Being strong inside of a woman. There's a heart that I would never want to break. We belong, man and his woman. It's the bond that I would never want to break.
Is there any subject
When?
in that conversation?
What today?
Good woman. Good woman. Good woman.
Ladies, women,
International Day.
Woman, you've been spoiling me with your presence and your grace.
we can't walk real second.
You make come true for me. Nobody else can take your place. Yes. In spite of all the wrong I've done to you, you still stay. I really appreciate it. I wish I could find a way to repair it all. There's no way to reimburse you or pay you back. Being strong inside of a woman. There's a heart that I would never want to break. We've been alone, yeah. A man and his woman. It's a bond that I would never want to break.
Now that Canada has just taken down all the American alcohol.
Behold,
That's
Father,
mad.
we send the praise. Yeah.
We're going to have to get rid of some.
Let the moon and the stars and the sun come shining down on me. It's like a face in the bow and it's bringing out the best in me. Like a guiding light, it's brightening up my dark to see. Don't even if I know they are no trick to me, Lord, I thank you. Thank you, guide and you showed me, Lord, thank you. Thank you for all that you have done for me.
Not only to put the price up on
I was never surprised when I opened up my eyes to see. You break the bars and the chains and you open up the gate for me. Though the road may be rocky, I know it's my destiny.
I know it's
I
not
thank you
America
for
somewhat.
all that you have done for me. Oh, I thank you. I thank you. You guided and you showed me. As I go on my merry way. Got a pleasant smile and every day. I'm the cornerstone that you won't refuse.
But this is disrespectful for everybody.
You show me that was still lose. Oh, I thank you. I thank you. You guided and you showed me. I thank you. I thank you for all that you have done for me. Thank
The
you.
Ukraine
I
president
thank you.
was
You
embarrassed.
guided and protected me. Oh, thank you. I thank you. Oh, one more time we do it right now.
Right, as we come to the end of our midday meditation this strong here on the Blacknificent Show. We shall be moving into the ancestral voices.
Like a guiding light and it's brightening up my dark sea. Don't even if I know they are not just to me. But thank you, I thank you for all that you have done for me. Lord, I thank you, I thank you. You guided and you showed me. Lord, I thank you, I thank you. Know you light my way to see. Oh, I thank you, I thank you. Oh, now I was never surprised when I opened up my eyes to see. You break the bonds, the loose chain and you open up the gate for me. Though the roads may be rocky, I know that it's my destiny. So I thank you for guiding and you showed me. Oh, I thank you for all that you have done for me. Lord, I thank you. Though you light my way to see, oh, I thank you. I thank you.
Yes, that was our midday meditation this strong here. As I say, it's a time for you to just take out for yourselves to do things that you enjoy for yourself. What are you showing? Your showing is not yet. Okay then. I ain't playing with you no more. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, so it takes a time out so that you can do for you, right? Mind, body, and spirit to balance yourself. So as we open up the channel of the listening, be in the listening, we take on to this new way of what we have to learn. So let's listen to this young brother here, right? A young Nigerian brother, 14 years old when he done this one here. Right? I think it was recently as well. But I want to just share this one with you. And if you want to view us, as I said, we're live on the Facebook. Right? We're live on the Facebook. Oh, come on now. We're live on the Facebook, and we are live on the YouTube as well. Okay, on the Blacknificent Radio Show on the YouTube. All right, so there's Sister Sandra and myself. Right, as we go into the ancestral voices. We go with this one right here. Come in, my brother.
Isn't gold, oil, or technology, but the untapped ideas of young people. We often say children are the leaders of tomorrow. Believe me, we're setting most of them to fail even before they start. Imagine if the next great solution, the one the world is waiting for, is already in the mind of a young person, lurking in the shadows, yearning to be heard, yet no one ever asks them to speak. How much potential are we losing every single day? We cannot afford the luxury of time. Our global population is getting younger, and so must we. Now is the time to involve children in decision making. Ibrahim Zanasonoma is my name, and I know firsthand what it means to be underestimated.
Which one did you say?
I have spent my advocacy journey
One more than I intended.
fighting for one simple truth. Children and young people deserve the chance to speak, especially when it comes to decisions being made that shape their lives and their future. Born in northeast Nigeria, where insurgency and hardship were a part of daily life, I have witnessed firsthand children with the same dreams as anyone else met with obstacles too great for even the strongest wills to overcome. I knew that if we didn't speak up, the silence will continue to drown the hopes of me and my peers. How can leaders in high offices, sitting miles away from our homes and our schools, claim to understand what we go through if they don't hear it directly from us? The hard truth is this: anything for us without us, it's not truly for us. Sometimes people, they ask me, Ibrahim, you are too young to be worrying about these big issues. And I think to myself, well, That's exactly the problem.
Do they have any estates? Right?
Why should anyone be too young
Honestly.
to even care about their own future? I have had the privilege of attending international discussions. I have represented millions of young voices. And believe me, each time I have seen how powerful it is when leaders truly listen to us. Not out of courtesy, but because they understood that true change only happens when it comes from the perspective of those affected. Sometimes people, they ask us,
Okay, ma'am.
how is it like being an advocate at such a very young age?
Hello?
They see us in these big stages, in these big rooms, and they say, you are so mature for your age. But what they don't see
Yes,
are
yes.
the childhood moments replaced by responsibility. The carefree days I will never get back. And I think to myself,
Yeah.
no young person
Yes, yes.
has to grow up so fast just to fight for their basic rights. This isn't only about children. It's about young adults on the cusp of building their futures. The barriers they face in education, their basic rights, unemployment, they are real. Imagine a young girl who dreams of being the next Albert Einstein,
Yeah, yeah.
but has no school to attend.
But okay.
Imagine a young boy who is filled with ideas on how to become the most celebrated icon of tomorrow, but has no one to listen to them. These are not stories you find in the evening news. There are no cameras, no headlines, but they are real. They are a living, breathing reality
I hear you.
for children who dare to dream.
All right. Yeah.
When young
Look
people
into that still. Let's see what.
and children are given the chance to share their ideas, extraordinary things happen.
It's just ranting.
Our policies, they become more inclusive. Our nations develop, and our solutions, they become sustainable.
Yeah.
If you have ever felt like your voice doesn't matter, or like no one is listening, then I'm here to tell you your voice can change everything. And here are simple steps on how you can get your voice heard. Speak up wherever you are. Speak up in your schools, in your communities. Speak up among your friends, in your families, because those small conversations will be the one to spark the big changes. Also, find your people. It's always said, 2 heads are better than 1. Find like-minded people who also have the same goals, the same aspirations, who also want to achieve similar things you want to achieve. Work together. Believe me, you get it right. Also, use social media. This is how I have started. I have posted my videos online. I have joined conversations, joined competitions. Believe me, social media has the power to take your voice from your community to the world. One post can be the start of something huge. And finally, also never stop trying. The first group of people you speak to might not listen, but as you continue to speak, your voice gets stronger. Always have this mindset that there is light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how long the night is, darkness must surely give way to the light of the dawn. Stormy the weather might well be, it won't rain forever. Any type of madness will come to an end. So never give up. It's time to challenge the idea that young people should wait for our turn. We are not just asking to be heard. We are demanding to be heard. We are claiming our place at the table. Believe me, if we don't make room for young leaders today, we'll pay the price of their absence tomorrow. Imagine a world where leaders and young people come to work together, share ideas. I can assure you, you can already imagine the outcome of such discussions. Let's talk for a moment. How did you get here? I know somewhere along the line, you told someone your idea, your plan for the future, your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Someone listened to you. Someone supported you. Someone helped you grow. Now imagine if no one had. Where would you have been today? So I ask you, whether you are a leader, a parent, a teacher, a brother, a sister, or a friend, how will you make spaces for young voices in your world? Don't just listen to us, support us. Don't just encourage our dreams, empower us. Because the change we all seek lies within those who dare to dream. And it starts with every voice, every perspective, and every idea.
Every idea.
I will leave you with the quote of Nelson Mandela. He says, "There is no keener revelation of a society's soul than in the way it treats its children." Our leaders know that. You know that. But our young people, our children, make sure they know that you believe in them too. Thank you.
As the bright sun, the earth does keep revolving, and the robots know the bloom and early day. Ain't no substitute that your mind that I'll be loving you always. Now can't reveal the mystery of tomorrow, but in passing we'll grow old every day. All that's fun and do, don't what I say. I'll be loving you always. Always. If it's not true, that's nothing. When you say, if it's not getting love again, to last forever, another day. I have to move on since the beginning. Seasons know exactly when to change. Kindness knows no shame, no for your joy today. And I'll be loving you always. And then I'm living but the smile. It makes me the past that I must fear. Well, no, we met something I said. I'll be loving you always. Always.
was Stevie Wonder, boy. That boy, they don't know more in that song. Oh dear. Anyhow, that was our Stevie Wonder. That young man there, if I get his name up, then I'll share it with you, right? But you can get those videos and those clips on the Blacknificent radio show, Ancestral Voices, right? So if you go onto the YouTube channel, right, and look at Blacknificent Ancestral Voices 2025, and then you can get that clip there. As we have shared most of the things that we have, most of the material, if it's available, we put it into that little grouping there as well. Right. So, my sister, Ancestral Voices, this strong, right? How was that for you?
So I was happy and glad
Mm.
to see that the young man spoke with such poise.
Mhm.
He spoke with such eloquence, and he pointed out and I know we'd had a conversation off air in terms of children are seen and not heard.
Yes,
But
yes.
as in terms of what he was saying, he needs to be heard.
Hmm.
He needs to be, as he spoke about on the stages, speaking in front of audiences. He needs to be there because he speaks above and beyond, not just to a small group of people. He's speaking to large thousands, hundreds and thousands.
Hmm.
In terms of, as a young voice, we do need to be heard.
Hmm.
As a population, and thinking about the young people, and I got the impression, I could be wrong, he was saying that there are young people who don't necessarily believe in themselves.
I think that is indicative right across the world in many societies, right?
But it comes back to that thought that young people should be seen and not heard.
Mm.
And it also comes to that from my humble opinion, the education system over here is that you go through certain stages in life, and it's only when you tick this box that you are you should be seen.
Mm. Hold on. Let me. Okay, then. Let's talk about UK, right? In itself, and what we've experienced as we were growing up. Now, that was a thing that was always being one of those, right, seen and not heard, right? That was a thing then when I was young, right? That I used to get occasionally, you would get one of those people there who would say, "Oh, children should be seen but not heard," right? And we always thought that was this old fashioned and all them things there. Yeah? So we was in that transitional period of the old, say, 50s, 60s type of attitude towards children.
Yeah.
Right. And then, obviously growing up around those people who had that throughout their life. So that's what they believed. Right. And then we came into the revolutionary type children of, well, you know what? You've come over here thinking this is the great land of hope and glory, right? And we're telling you that it's not, and they're fighting against us, and we're the ones that actually raised up against a system and society that really wanted us as subjected slaves to rebuild their society. So therefore we got strength and we got a voice. Many of society's youngers, as they were growing with us, obviously they got their strength and voice as well. And then it was that revolutionary experience that we've had most of our younger days, right? Okay. Now I feel, right, that the young people, those who are showing interest, they've been given that carte blanche of of um of expression, right? Whether it's in a positive or not, but they have been listened to. They are being listened to. Some have been able to take advantage of it, right? And there's many who are still struggling with the, oh, I can actually speak. How? What am I supposed to say?
Mm.
Right? But those that do excel, like this young man here, right? They are being listened to. There's been more exposure, in my opinion, globally of the voice of the young people
Mm.
because they've been allowed to be part of the broader aspect of conversation
Yeah.
politically, social structurally
Mm.
as well. But their presence has been acknowledged. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just hold it there for now. Yeah.
So I would say, and if I think about our earlier conversation when you spoke about the knife crime
Mm,
and the gun crime,
mm,
that's taken a lot of our young people. So they are being distracted accidentally on purpose,
mm,
so they don't voice and have their voice
mm,
and say what they feel.
mm.
I was on a training course yesterday
Okay.
because I'm looking at AI consultancy.
Mm,
And I am able to help in relation to that, but that's another conversation.
mm,
But the person that was taking the training, he said that they were thinking about doing a entrepreneurship AI course for young people,
mm,
but they haven't yet got around to fitting it into the diary.
mm.
And he asked a general question: how many of you have young people who would be interested? One question. And how many of you know young people who would be interested? A second question.
Mm,
That brings me back to our conversation today, because unless we give the young people a chance and a voice, what we end up doing is allowing the system, however you define it or you look at it, allowing them to be dumbed down, allowing them to be seen and not heard. And I understand, if I think about it in terms of why our parents may have turned around and said seen and not heard, because if you think about what they would have heard and what they would have gone through, or what their grandparents or great grandparents and etc would have gone through, the children that would be making up the most noise are the children that all of a sudden are no longer seen. They're not around. They will be taken. They will be quietened. They're on their parents' back, and their parents are working hard, or their parents are in the house working. I was even watching a movie yesterday, maybe the day before, on Pele, and it was
yes.
around his experience
Yeah.
of growing up. And he, at one of the times, his mother had taken him to work with her.
Mm,
And as he was there dreaming about his future and dreaming big, the boys of the house walk in, and because they're white boys and he's a boy of color, his mother's doing the cleaning, and they're mocking him and making it harder for him.
mm,
And then when his mother comes back in, because she hears a disturbance, she thinks it's Pele who's
automatically.
created, because he was seen and heard.
Mm,
And she grabbed him up and apologized to them profusely. And effectively, they're young enough to be her child, because they were the same age as Pele.
yeah.
But she grabbed up her son and started apologizing, and that's what our parents would have done historically in the day. They would have discouraged us from saying anything. And with the technological advances
You
now,
have to be twice as good and
yes.
Yeah.
So with the technological advances now, whereby we do have a voice, we've got the distractions that don't allow us to voice our thoughts in a constructive way. Or if it is constructive, it's around a lifestyle that doesn't provide, or it doesn't appear that it provides a longevity, because they, or young people, and this is my generalization here, may get into a gang, may get into thinking about things in a different way in order to survive. And that's because of, in some senses, they're being minds being taken away from what it's the capabilities.
Okay then. Right. I know that you mentioned gang. I'm gonna have to put a break on that one. Right. Not all children are in gangs.
I recognize that. That's why I said. Why I paused before I said it. But they may be a group of children who are together, standing together on the back of a bus, on the front of the bus, on the bus stop. But because you see more than one, the first word that comes to my mind is gang, because of how I've been socialized.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily mean that that's how they are.
You've given acknowledgement that you've been socialized. Okay, then. I accept what you're saying there. Then, in that context. Okay, all right. One of the things I've noticed, that there are those, right? The young people run at a different speed, right? When I say run at a different speed, they process information a lot quicker than what they would do, like when I was their age. And when I was their age, right? They do a lot, and they expect answers and actions a lot quicker, right? The immediate gratification.
But that's the technology that has allowed that, because we were asking the same questions. We were asking the same questions of our elders. They just didn't know the answers, and they didn't know where to get the answers.
Exactly.
But now all of us are carrying around a mobile phone that can give you that in, like you said, seconds.
Yeah. The information. We're in fact, we are overloaded with information.
Yeah.
Right. To such an extent that we just dismiss it anyway, instead of embracing the technology that we have at this time, right, and to utilize it to such an extent to develop ourselves, right?
So I'd say, do we dismiss it, or is it the fact that we don't have the capacity to take it all on board? So we don't know how to filter out what we need right now.
Right. If I do go down that line, and I don't want to take too long on it, if we take the time to filter out, it means that we are living in purpose, right? We have a plan. For instance, if you've got a year plan, 2-year plan, 3-year, do you have to learn a new skill? Learn those skills, right? Whether you go to a place of where you're going to learn it, or you self-learn it, right? You learn those skills, right? We have accessibility to the information to actually do things and to learn a skill now, right? I think one of the biggest things that has happened to us recently was the lockdown with the COVID, right? I think there was a lot of people that started new hobbies, new interests, mainly because they had the time, right? They had the time and they had the accessibility, right? A lot of it was self-taught or online or whatever, right? But they could focus on something that was probably more beneficial to them, that they have interest in, right? To such an extent, it almost destroyed social life outside of the home.
Because we were able to slow down. We were allowed to slow down, and the messages were focused around this injection, vaccination, and all things to do with it.
Exactly. But apart from that, that's probably been the most beneficial thing, and bringing family engagement as well.
Yeah.
Right, personal space engagement, well-being. I think that although it may have challenged many, which they emphasize as it was a challenge for many who was locked down, right? But in other places, I think that it was extremely beneficial, and I think that outweighed outweighed more than the ones that were struggling with it as well,
So
right?
I would, because the thought that has just come to my mind
Mm.
is that where it's a healthy
Mm,
relationship, then yes, it's beneficial.
mm,
But
mm.
we do recognize and acknowledge, and I acknowledge that there are many relationships out there that are not healthy.
Yeah,
And that
Yeah.
lockdown scenario that we were enforced brought out the worst in people, and
Okay.
others were subjected to that behavior.
yeah. I mean that some experienced other things and what whatever, and I'm not going to dismiss that that these things did not happen because they did, right? But anyhow, but at the same time, right? As I'm alluding to what we're talking about here, right? Self taught and self motivation. You were able to focus and see what your true purpose could be, right? So it was kind of like if you were able to take advantage of that, it was that time, and where many lost their jobs, right? I still don't think they actually released the impact of how many actually lost their jobs over that period, right? But you had to find, some had to find a new form of income, a new way of making money, new revenue, right? And that's where you saw a lot of people just said, you know what can I do, right? And they were trying different things. They were doing things that probably was totally different to what they were working in previously, right? But they said, okay, then let me see what I can do, and then out of that, some had a thriving business out of it. Some just got through, just to get through the day, right? And I think that it's started that let me do for myself instead of relying on the employer. Yeah. What can I do for myself? And I think that it ignited that, from what I've seen anyhow, which in my opinion is a good thing. It is a good thing, because when you really look outside of the UK and most of Europe, so when you look outside of there, if you go to like the Eastern Asia, for instance, India, China, right, Caribbean, Africa, most of those people there have to do for themselves, because there's no support system outside of doing for yourself. Yeah. Right, unless your family is going to be supportive of that, but then you would work with your family to provide and everything else for the family, right? So in other words, it strengthens them. So now everybody has experienced that the society or system is not supportive of you. So therefore, what can I do for myself? Yeah. And I feel that is an advantage for us as individuals if they can carry on through the generation and the next generation. And this is why I feel that we've got that impetus of young people coming through to say we can't rely on a society or a system to do for us. We're going to have to do it for ourselves. And again, I feel that is why we're getting a lot of the young people speaking up now, which is a good thing, in my opinion, and allowing them to develop into what is necessary for the next generation and the developing generation as well.
So
Speaking to them.
So for me, if I'm thinking about the young people and what they do or how they come across, Yes, I agree. From a COVID point of view, we had many people were able to do that self-reflection, which has provided an opportunity for those who do want to do for themselves, those who do want to make use of and work by the sweat of their proverbial brow rather than for somebody else. It did, and it does give you that opportunity. We just need to be mindful. Is mindful the right word? We just need to recognize and big up, celebrate the young people who are doing the works out there,
moving forward in that way,
who are taking the opportunities, who are prepared to embrace and to move that needle in order for a brighter opportunity for themselves and or others.
Yeah. It's whether they're going, if they mature into adulthood, into that's one thing, because like being in the public eye is one element. Doing things as a industrial developer, right? Engineering or whatever line of field that they wish to be part of, right, is another thing as well. But they all have the same. They all play a part in the development of the future and for the future, right? So don't underestimate. Please do not underestimate your role, what you are playing, even if you are a father, a mother. That's an important role as well, because without those roles, there won't be no future as such. Yeah. Right. Even if you are, someone who prepares food, for instance, not necessarily the chef, somebody who just works in there as well. All roles are important. All roles are important. Hopefully that they will raise the wage to come up to a decent living wage instead of just a living wage.
It's all in the language.
Because whatever, we all want a development. We don't want to just exist, barely exist. And this is what's happening with a lot of places, a lot of businesses as well, that in effect they can't afford to even employ anybody. Because of the amount of like a rigmarole what they have to go through, right? And the pay, like the what they would call it now, all the things they have to fulfill to be an employee, right? A lot of them say, no, it's just not worth me employing anybody. So therefore, what's the use of me having an actual business? If you're working or walking down the high street in a city now, there's a lot of places that are closed down mainly because of that, because the profit margin on a lot of these places are minimal at best of times, right? Although you might see a big shop and everything else, but the profit margin is not that great on a lot of these places, especially like an independent shop as well. Don't think that, oh yes, you got a shop, so therefore you must be making money, right? You're probably just making money just to keep the door open, if that. And I've seen many places like that. I've certain people that I know who've had businesses, and they said, well, we haven't made any profit for the past 3 months and things like this, and then you think, well, okay then, and then you think, well, you've only got 9 months of the year left to actually make a profit to justify having this place open, and you think, well, okay then, that's how that business runs, and then you look down the high street and you think, Well, obviously, most of them must be like that, then, isn't it? You know, most of the places. But hey, that's how their business runs. You know.
Mm.
Mm, mm, yeah.
So, encourage you if
Mm.
you wish to join us on this with this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You can ring us on 0794
Mm.
74 79219.
Mm.
That is 0794 74
That's a text line.
79219.
That's a text line. Text them.
That's
That's a text line.
That's the text line. Sorry, and you can ring us in terms of speaking on 0203
Mm-hmm.
289 6504.
There
So
you
you can
go.
call us into the studio on 0203 289 6504.
That's it. That's it. You know. So you know, we're here. We're here for you to come in into the conversation. Don't get me wrong. I will talk. I will talk and talk and talk, and until you're tired. Until I'm tired, anyhow. Right? Anyhow, so you know that was our ancestral voices this strong, right? The voice of the young people, and don't listen. Let's not waste their time, yeah. Let's not waste their time because we've grown up. We've grown up, right? Well, I've grown up in a time of where fool was fooling fool, right? Ignorance,
Mm,
yeah.
mm,
No, I'm not voting,
mm,
right? Oh, politics, I don't want nothing to do with that.
mm,
So what's happening socially? Okay, it's okay. They're gonna do what they're gonna do anyway,
mm,
right? And then all of a sudden you want to do something and you go, well, why can't I do this? Why can't I develop my home? Right? What do you mean it's illegal for me to do like a development on my house? You know?
mm, mm,
Well, don't I own my house? And then you
Mm.
find out saying, no, you don't. After you've been paying all that money.
mm,
Then things there. You understand? So when it comes down to all of those things there, let's stop being naive about this thing here. Stop being ignorant about this thing called life.
mm,
Yeah? Make sure that we are doing things that are gonna be generational in the impact. Yeah?
mm,
Right? If you don't have children, you have niece and nephew,
mm,
right? So, you know, what you working for? You're doing all these things for, right? Is it gonna be, oh yeah, well, I'm only gonna live for 10 years, so I'm just gonna work for the 10 years and that's it.
mm,
And then and nothing, right? There's always some residual that you are leaving behind. You understand? So make sure that you know you're putting it in the right place and that it works the right way as well. Yeah,
mm,
right. If you want to be part of the new development of the new generation, right? Don't waste yourself by saying no. I'm not participating
mm,
in it. Make yourself known. Yeah, and you don't have to go along to get along, right? Because if it's not what you want, raise the point that you want. It might be influential enough to make a change,
mm.
right? Or even just push it in the right direction. Yeah. So let's stop this ignorance around not participating in the development of society, life in general. All right, because we got the whole world to rebuild and to reclaim right now as well. So come on now, all right, let's stop them foolishness there, man. Cha. Let me see what I got for you again. Embarrass me. Hold on. All right, then, let's go. Let's go with you, Mr. Tibbet.
Don't let the devil blow your mind. The time is so serious, cantankerous and dangerous. He's only in the Father, you know I put my trust. The time is so serious, cantankerous and dangerous.
Yes.
I thought you didn't.
Not now. Yeah. I don't know nothing. I do.
Was it Julius before?
I do.
Okay.
Something that bring your fiction. Well, you come live.
All over the world, everyone is in a details. I'm always on the alert because I know that my life is worth.
Have you got your date up when you're returning?
Push me around.
No, I've not booked it yet. People dying for hunger, so children got no mother, no father. Nothing to earn. The more they live is the more they learn. The time is so serious.
What do you need to take home with you?
Huh?
What do you need to take home with you?
What do you mean?
What do you want to carry back with you?
I still don't understand the question.
Is there anything that you need or you want to carry back with you? No school supplies for the children or anything else?
Yeah, that goes to that thing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get some stuff on this Timo. They do like packets of pens and stuff like this.
Mm.
I'm gonna get some. Yeah. So I can get to them, yeah?
And, yes, I've explored Timu. I've carried over quite a few things last time round. Is it ends again?
Mm-hmm.
You take him to bring up. If you want us to discuss it, then there.
Like taking it into a different direction. You're taking it into a different direction.
I'll give him the last half hour.
Yeah, that's another. That's another hour yet. Yes, time is serious and dangerous right now. As we move along into a change of subject right now for this strong on the Blacknificent show. Right, we have the subject of
We're celebrating the strength and power of women. Bearing in mind that Saturday the 8th is International Women's Day.
Woman.
So it's a global event by way of celebration. So you may have seen information, you may have seen posters, you may have seen posts in relation to events that are happening up and down the country. And I would encourage you just to be mindful of those events and to participate, go to, celebrate, get involved where you can. There are things, sometimes we say, oh, well, I'll do it next. I'll do it another time. Another time never comes. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll leave it to somebody else. And again, tomorrow never comes, and somebody else's purpose and passion may be different from yours. And when we're thinking about women, we're thinking about, and I just would like, say, for the next 20 minutes for us to reflect on the empowerment, the inspiration for action, and let's think about moving forward. How can we ensure then that this change is ongoing? So historically, when we're thinking about women, there's a quote that I saw, and it says the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And that was a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. And I could really literally unpack that in terms of believe in the beauty of their dreams. Do we dream? Do we? And if we think about ancestral voices and we're thinking about the young man that spoke, he had a dream or an idea in terms of how he would like to see a society around him, and B, the interaction of other young people around him in order to build that society. So we know that historically we have our women, Sojourner Truth, a abolitionist, and a women's rights activist who delivered, they say, of the famous "Ain't I a Woman" speech. We also have other individuals, such as Rosa Parks, a civil rights activist whose refusal to give up her seat sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. So these are women in America, and there are many women in America, and there are women here who historically stood up for what they believed, was not prepared to accept the status quo, wanted to, and was prepared for the change and their role in making it happen. So when we think about our journey, what legacy will we leave behind? Will we inspire? Those women that I mentioned, the ones in the UK, I'm thinking of Mary Seacole. There are others in the UK. What legacy did they leave behind? Because individually, collectively, they had resilience, and they paved the way for progress. So I'm just going to read the quote from Sojourner Truth in terms of "Ain't I a Woman?" And like I said, where I saw the information, gives the impression that she may not necessarily have actually said "Ain't I a Woman?" But what they have captured in terms of what she said was, "Well, children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter." I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women of the North, all talking about rights, the white men will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about? The man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches, and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me, look at my arm. I have ploughed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could hit me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lashes as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? Then they talk about this thing in the head. What's this they called? This is honey. What's that got to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights? If my cup won't hold a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half measure full? Then that little man in black there, he says women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down, all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and to get it right side up again. And now they's asking to do it. The man better let them. So there was a lot that she said in that speech. Whether or not it's the actual words, as I said, some of the reading I've seen, she didn't actually mention ain't I a woman, or not as frequently as it says in the poem. But it's that thought process in terms of, if the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, isn't there an opportunity now? Should we not now allow or encourage or take back as women what we are capable of, rather than sitting back and sitting down and allowing the society to dictate our space at the table? So empowerment in and of itself comes through collective strength. There are struggles our parents, our mothers, our sisters will speak about, the struggles that they've had in the workplace. And you're thinking, okay, it's 2025, things have changed. No, they've not changed. And one of the events I'll be going to this on Saturday talks about the workplace, and as much as they will have the diversity and they will have the various policies and or conversations, those conversations are biased but not in favor of the women.
Oh. Still?
And it's I, as much as I smile at that, it is still, because we have our historical women who over the years have called for this equality. They have died for it, they've fought for it, they've argued for it, they've protested for it, they've marched for it, they've beaten the drum for it. And we're in 2025, and regardless of whether or not you're in the UK, Canada, America, the Africas, regardless of where you are, the women and how they are perceived by many in society, whether they be the same women that see themselves, or the men within society, or the young boys growing up, or the young girls growing up, there is that disparity.
Okay.
And it's only through we need to, and Brother Aston spoke about writing things down and maintaining the pictures. Those pictures tell stories, but we need our voices and the strength of our voices within our communities to help to enhance and speak about our journeys. So that means we do have an opportunity to understand our past, which can help us to shape our present and our future. So I'll encourage those that are listening here today to take some time to reflect on your journey. But I'm not asking you just to do that reflection on your journey and to think about the challenges and to get bogged down by those challenges. Celebrate your victories, because out of the challenge, there's a good chance, a very, very good chance, if you took time to think about it, was that victory at the other side. And that victory doesn't have to be a humongous victory that if you told your best friend they're going to be applauding and you're going to get the Oscar, etc. I'm not saying victory in terms of measuring it in that way. I'm saying celebrate your victories no matter how small, because your journey would not have been and is not easy. And the victory could be something as simple as, or as exciting as, overcoming a challenge, coming to terms with technology, gaining that promotion, having that conversation and sharing your wisdom and your thoughts with a younger person, and them taking that on board. You raising your children and recognizing that, you know what, and I often see my cousin when she's speaking about her children, it's almost like that pride to say, I did the best I can with what I had. And these are two young people who are going out into the world. They have a family and they're doing the best that they can do with the start that I shared with them and I gave them. So take some time out today to reflect on your journey. So Alice Walker had shared a quote, or one of the quotes that Alice Walker had said was, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. That's why I was encouraging you to think about and do that reflection in so much as celebrating your victory. Because if you don't think you've got a victory, you're giving up your power. If you don't think that you're not worthy, you're giving up your power. And there are things that you can do in terms of taking action. As you do that celebration, as you move forward, let's talk about the inspiration. So the International Women's Day is not just about remembering the past. It's about creating the future. So how can we, as women, how can we use our shared experience to make a difference? Let's just think about that. How can we use our shared experience to make a difference? So we can do that by literally drawing strength from each other. And that could be within a family setting, or it could be on a community level, or it could be within the workplace. So it is a case of when you see another woman, draw strength from the smile that we should be giving each other. The fact that you see another woman and you think, hang on a minute, they are in a position of power. Or you see another woman and you're thinking, you know what, I'm not alone. When I sit around the table and I'm sitting with my managers and my bosses and our team, and we're all sitting around there and we're having a team meeting, or we're doing it on Teams or one of the other media, and I can look around and I can say, yeah, there's another someone's like me. Take strength in that. Take strength. So that means when they ask you for your comments or your voice, you feel, you know what? I'm not alone here, and I know that there are others around the table who think like that, who think like me. I would like to see change. So when they ask for comments, thoughts, and/or opinions, share. So when we come together, there is no limit to what we can achieve unless we put those limits on ourselves, or we listen to the rhetoric that society says in relation to what can happen or what does happen. And this is whether you're in a community event, whether or not you're starting a business, you're advocating for policy change. As a woman, your activities and actions will inspire others to do the same. Don't get caught up thinking, oh, well, it doesn't matter, or thinking about it's insignificant. When we think about the legacy and what we will be leaving behind for others, celebrate. Take that opportunity to recognize that, yes, in that space, you stood tall, and there'll be others who will be watching you and will see your strength and will be able to feed off of your energy so that they can also move forward. It's things that we can do, opportunities we can take. So there may be within your community events that you can volunteer for, and volunteer being the operative word, because there's lots of groups that with a different voice, the voice of the woman allows the energy and the movement and the way that that group operates just to shift a little bit more, because it's not a table of men speaking. There is the woman's voice that may slow down the tempo, that may encourage others to think, that may encourage others to listen. Support women-owned businesses, or even mentor a younger woman. Because if you've walked that path and you've come out of the other end as a survivor, seek out the community groups, the opportunities to have that conversation with a younger woman. Speak about the challenges that you faced. Like I said, sometimes we become our own worst enemy, because we believe in and listen to that narrative that you don't want to wash your dirty linen in public. But the fact that you've survived and your linen's now on the line, pretty. Take the opportunity to speak about the challenges that you've had. Again, whether they be in the workplace, whether they be within the education field, regardless of where they are. Because what you'll find is that you'll either find the allies, or the allies will find you. And there'll be an opportunity then for a supportive environment as you move forward. So there is a call for ongoing change. If we're thinking about International Women's Day, there is that call for ongoing change. And that call, I'll start with the quote. I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are different from my own. And that's by Andre Lord. So I've mentioned before in terms of getting involved in volunteering or community activities. If you're in the workplace and there's conversations around pay, advocate for the transparency and the fairness in that comparison. The one thing, I think that's probably the one thing in the workplace that you talk about most things in the workplace, but very rarely do people talk about their pay. Very rarely do people share what they're earning. And rarely is it, even more so, is it be what your colleague who's a man getting paid doing the same job as you do. So that means there may be a pay scale, and we're all happy with the pay scale because we think, okay, we're in band A, B, C, D, or E. But within that, the conversations need to be had in terms of equal pay and the transparency and the fairness within that. Think about the policy and in terms of legislation that supports the human rights. Coming back to pay, let's if that discussion is being had, put your hand in the hair. Get involved in that discussion. Support the policies that address disparity in women's health and the access that women have within the healthcare system. Don't be a bystander. Get involved. Think about the educational opportunities and the opportunities that boys have in many parts of the world for an education, but that education is withdrawn or taken away or doesn't take place at all for women or for the girls. Get involved in those movements. Add your voice. And then what about tomorrow? How do we build a stronger tomorrow? And that's a global equality. You may think to yourself, okay, I can't necessarily think about it from a global point of view because hey, that's too big a stretch. But a step you can take today may be that step that builds from an individual action to community support, whereby we are uplifting each other professionally and personally. Let's not walk past our sisters. Let's support our sisters. Let's recognize our sisters. Let's get involved, like I said, in the community activities, whereby we will get to a point whereby there's that global equality, a world where every woman is valued equally. And that's the word equally. Because your voice, our voice, women's voices matter. Because we are part of this global movement, changing for a better world. So in closing, let's rewrite the narrative. Why not? Why not? It's one story, one chapter at a time. Let's rewrite that narrative because together we are unstoppable. Together, our collective strength creates unstoppable momentum for change. We can create and build a world where every woman has a chance to thrive. So I'm thanking you just for, I shared some thoughts in terms of International Women's Day.
Good.
So let's continue pushing forward for the change.
Mhm. We have a call. We have a caller again. We have a caller. Grand Risings caller.
Greetings, caller.
Yeah, Grand Rising, and Grand Rising is Sister Sandra, and then Grand Rising to Aston, and the Galaxy from the Grand Rising. And, I like what you were just putting forward, Sister Sandra, and I just want to share something with you all concerning exactly what you were saying just now, and how we can, work, as I said, this is something I've been talking about for years now, working together. And in the village where I am, there's a tailor, a sister tailor, and she, because sometimes many of the girls, they don't have thing and they end up going to prostitution and so forth. And what she has done is she's taken it upon herself to teach them, try to teach them the trade of sewing, and she doesn't charge them anything for it. And also, at the same time, she developed a cooperative sort of thing, where the women come together in the village, they gather every Saturday, and they pool their resources together, pool some money together, maybe like 10,000 or whatever shillings. And when one of the women wants, to do a business or something, they have a business idea, they will take some money from that savings that they put together. Just like they put it, and they will go and start a business, of their own. And several women have been doing that, and they've been quite successful. So as you say, it's a matter of mindset of all people putting our mind that we're going to do something for ourselves. Stop depending, and that's what I'm saying, stop depending on others do for you.
Yeah.
And just be honest. That's all it takes to be honest and say, look, we will do this. And a little bit by a little bit. Because I always said, look, what we have to understand is the other people that we're up against, they're dealing in millions and billions. We're dealing in tens or hundreds and thousands. Not, so, but if we put our resources together, we can get 100 or we can get 1,000.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
See? And that is so simple that we can do things for ourselves. But as I say, she's helping them because she's seeing them, look, if they don't do something, then most of them end up in prostitution.
Yes.
And she doesn't want to see that.
Yeah.
You see?
So she's seen something that can.
So I just wanted to, I just wanted to run that for you. You know what I mean? Because it's so electrifying in what you were saying. You know what I mean? And, I just wanted to bring that to the table. See?
I think our sister Sandra covered right across a broad aspect of women, and I'm very glad that it was palatable, not in the sense of feminism in that way there, just being a woman and acknowledging being a woman, You wanna talk about the event? What's coming up to support this?
I just want to respond first
Okay.
in terms of what was said, because what you just shared is what one woman has seen happening in her community and doing something about it. So she never sat back. She never believed the narrative. She didn't look at those other women and say, well, you guys, there's nothing, you're beyond help. She's done what she can in order to support them, and to give them an opportunity whereby they can then help aid themselves, be their families, and see others. So she's seen that bigger picture. And like I said, it's beautiful when we do that for ourselves. And there's more of us, whether they be on the continent or in the UK or in the Caribbean or the Americas. There's more that we can do collectively, because it comes back to that we are unstoppable when we do things together.
Yeah, most certainly. And as I said, I've been on that road for some time, trying to bring that idea to people, that it's just simple little bits and pieces that we can do, the simple little things, you know what I'm saying, right? That we can do to help ourselves
Yeah.
and improve ourselves. Like stop being selfish. Stop being selfish. And I sent out something this morning about Brother Malcolm. And, when you read this was a documentary done by Denzel Washington. Beautiful documentary. And, some of us have that drive to want to change things. You know what I'm saying? To change things. And this is, I'm telling you, when you read about the story about his brother and the sacrifice he made, but the determination that he wanted to change the narrative of his people. Not just, but as he gets along and learns, but to stop the oppression. And it was becoming too big, and that's why they had to get rid of it. Because many people don't want that to happen. They don't want people to be better than they are. They want people to be under the cusp. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know why do you want people to be under this oppression?
Because when we
and there is enough in the world for everyone. Yeah, go on.
it's when we society, the wider society, we are encouraged or discouraged from doing things together. So it's when we do things together as a collective, that's when we have the strength, but we don't often know our strength in that regard. So if we hear, whether it be one of our brothers speaking or one of our sisters speaking, we want to put them, or society encourages us to put them in a pigeonhole and to put a lid on it, because there's that fear factor. We weren't meant to live and operate like that. And there will be brothers and sisters up and down the country, different generations, who will forever be fighting to get out of that box, forever be wanting to do something and create a future for a happier future for all those around them. It's whether or not society allows it, and more often than not, society sees it as a challenge against the norm, when in theory it's how we are programmed to live. It's how we're wired to live, but we're not always encouraged to do so. So we know then that if it's going to happen to our brothers, and we do know that it has happened to our brothers, it will happen to our sisters in exactly the same way. But we need to have the conversations and break out of that narrative.
Absolutely.
And most certainly, that conversation, as you already said, we need to have. I ask myself the question, when we sit down together, what is the conversations that we have? Is it a negative conversation, or are we talking about, wanting to improve our condition? Or do we want to improve the environment around? You know what I mean? That to me is a positive. Rather than to be sitting down there talking things that is not going to be of benefit to us, and we spend so much time in that. You follow what I'm saying? We spend so much time when there are solutions to our problems, that is what I believe that we should be spending more sort of time, in conversation with.
And
And I just want to give you a little light-hearted thing, okay? Because my daughter, she's very, especially when she was very young, she was very attentive. And women, they sit down and they talk and so forth. And
Really?
okay, here you have a young child, 4 or 5, sitting in the midst of them talking, listening, and so forth.
Mm.
So she's listening, and her grandmother was saying she didn't know where her husband was. So here's this little girl stand up in the midst of them. Woman, what do you mean you don't know where your husband is? You're supposed to know where your husband is. Not a young child. you know, you know. So it just shows you that even young child is realistic. You don't know where your husband is.
Mm.
Who has to know where your husband is?
Yeah.
You know? I just want to run that little light-hearted thing to show that it's so important conversation
Yes.
and the conversations that we're having.
Yes.
And what comes out of those conversations after we finish? Is it something that we're going to do positive or nothing is going to change from a social foundation?
Yeah, definitely. Go on.
Okay.
You make your point. Make your point before
No,
I cut, because I'm going to take it into a different.
No, because the only thing I was just going to say is thank you very much for your input there.
Mm.
I just want to say quickly in terms of the event.
Okay.
So it is definition redefined, and it's a commission on Black women and girls. It's a national conference for International Women's Day on Saturday, the 8th of March, from 9 till 5 p.m. And it's at the Resource Centre, Holloway Road, London N7. So tickets for the event can be purchased on Eventbrite. And there's going to be lots there. There's going to be inspiring speakers. There's going to be a book launch. There's going to be dance and performance. There's going to be workshops. There will be a marketplace. There'll be a one-on-one business surgeries, and there'll be a photo exhibition, and that is all being put on by Soul Purpose 360. So they've got many members up and down the country, but this is an event for the women, the girls, the boys, the men to come along and see, hear, and listen, because the theme of the conference is a commission on Black women and girls.
Brilliant. One of the things I am very glad about with this is that, although it's an event, all encompassing as such, right? But we're putting ourselves out there to show who we are, right? Right. There's two aspects I want to cover in my commentary right now, right? Thank you first of all for putting that together, right? And covering a broad aspect of there, and also making it palatable, right, for us men who see and appreciate women to be women and partners and as equals in our lives in that way, right? Because many a time it's been the struggling woman that we get the aspect of, right? The disadvantaged woman, right? One of the most beautiful things that I'm gonna let something out the bag here. I'm gonna let something out the bag. One of the things that I find very attractive about a woman, right, is their confidence, their poise, and them just being a woman, right? One who's able to stand up confident in her own self, right, and express that as well.
Mm.
And I'm not saying that, oh, because that some people go through travel challenges just like any person, every person.
Mm.
But it is such a refreshing and a invigorating feeling to just be in the presence of a person who has that command of themselves.
Mm.
Right? That's one. Two, I'm very, very, very happy and glad to see that there has been a strong acknowledgement of the presence of Black women, African women,
Mm.
right? Globally.
Mm.
Even without the social or the media recognition of it, because everything and anything that they are advertising out there, right, always pertains to be around being that person that is out of reach of the cocoa side type person. In other words, they have to be Black,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
They have their tanning lotions. They have their what's this BBL type of thing, which is coming, butt lift type of thing,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Their looks and everything always has the natural thing of what a African or Black woman would have,
Mm. Mm.
and it just seems like that is the desired thing, and it has been for many years, because one Black woman could walk into a room, and I know it can happen. A Black woman could walk into a room, and all the other women get all agitated, right?
Mm.
Just before the presence of one Black woman,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And it happens with Black men as well,
Mm.
right? They get all agitated just because this one person walks into the room,
Mm.
right? And then it's the battle of the sexes and everything else, right? So you know what? The dignity and the strength and power live into it,
Mm.
100%,
Mm.
100%, right? And I am a supporter of that
Mm.
as well, right? Another thing, I am so glad that they are voicing their opinion, they are voicing their status, right? And if you look at a lot of the development now, as in community development,
Mm.
right? Because I think that if it wasn't for Black women, we would be in a lot worse state than what we are right now, right? And unfortunately, some of them do live in hope of supporting, rightly named, I think, Wasteman out there, right? They do live in hope of supporting Wasteman out there, but at the same time, let that hope come into to fruition as well, But don't waste too much time with them Wasteman, yeah, too, as well,
Mm.
Reality is reality, yeah,
Mm.
okay. But apart from that, I feel that the future is strong, right? Admittedly, right? They are the forefront of what is happening for a lot of our people and a lot of our young people in the westernized society anyway, right? Mainly because of the breakdown of the marital and the relationship structure as it stands here,
Mm.
right? Which I feel needs to be really established very, very soon, right? Whether it be done in this generation, the next generation, but we have to be working towards that to bring back some kind of family structure,
Mm.
yeah.
Mm.
Which I think the leading example of that has been from the ancestral families in its own right, Yeah,
Mm.
because of the moral structure and guidelines that were lived up to and lived within. That seems to have left a lot of people in that way there,
Mm.
or they're just not even aware of it.
Mm.
In all honesty, they're not aware of it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So therefore, that is one of those things that needs to be reestablished. But yes, why not have it? And also, I'm hoping, and I'm saying it out there. Although this thing is about Women's Day, that we do emphasize on highlighting men, right? Because as much as what women are publicly addressing their issues, men need to do the same, right?
So and I'm going to jump in
Yeah,
here.
yeah, sure.
One of the reasons why, and I've heard the argument, and in some senses I do agree.
Mm.
A man's voice will often be heard above and beyond the woman's voice. So even if you think about something as simple as employment,
Mm.
and a man and a woman, the man will actually go for a job even though he doesn't have
The
the qualifications, whereas a woman who has the qualifications, greater qualifications, and a longer resume isn't going to think about it because of how we are socialized and thinking about the opportunities which, perceived or otherwise, happen. So when we think about International Women's Day, I'm going to push for, as much as it's terrible that sometimes you need to have a specific day to look at a specific subject or a group of people. In this regard, I'm going to shout loud and shout proud and say, yes, for today, as a man, I want you to stay in the audience because I see your value.
But give your space.
But
Give the space
give
at
me
all.
the space to have a say,
Woman.
because in some senses, this may be the only time or the only day as a woman that I feel strong enough, able and or capable in order for my voice to be heard, because if it's going to be drowned out, it's going to be drowned out by other women rather than other men in the room.
Okay. All right then. Let me keep up my salt mode. I've been told. Family. I've been told. Right. Lines that are open are 0203 289 6504. Do you have anything to come back to defend my corner, Brother Akram? As I get beat down by the sister.
Well, as I said, I came in a bit late in the program, but I did hear what the sister was saying, and I really got off what she was saying, because I said it was electrifying, and it resonates with what, as I said, this sister is doing here. And, it's something, as I said, Magufuli was encouraging the people here in the country that, look, you in the villages, please come together and form cooperatives. You know what I mean? And at the time he had a plan. Look, he said, look, even if if you all form a cooperative, the government will try to give you the equivalent of about £5,000, to help you, because developing this system, as you rightly say, you create people who is doing jobs, who is working, and we need an employable force of people who is, and that is what builds country. You understand? It builds your economy, it builds your country, and everything like that. And it stops the depletion of your communities as well. So it's so important that our people get to learn this. And in our situation, especially since we don't have a lot of money, among ourselves, if we pool our little resources together, we can be helping each other like we did with a partner.
I think we're just misusing
what
it.
they're doing. I mean, they pool their resources together, and then when somebody has, they want to start up a little stall of something, Some of them have their own offices now and things like that. So it's something that is doable.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay.
is doable.
Okay. All right.
You know?
I know. You know what you're saying is true and everything. But like in the context of the Women's Day
International Women's Day.
International Women's Day, let's give it the correct word. International Women's Day, right? You know, let's be aware of this for those who are in the listening, right? And also focus on something what is happening for our women. If you have your daughters out there, empower, right? Take them to an event, right? Or even create an event, make it a special day for them, you know? Yes, we can all eat fish that day too. We could always have our steak on Sunday, yeah. Anyway, let me play this one here by one of my favorite artists here. Uh-oh. What's it so loud?
I know exactly what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I've had those thoughts a million times. I can see the question that's behind your eyes. Oh, you're searching for your peace of mind. Listen up to this truth. You are me and I am you. Every one of us is worthy. Baby, girl, worthy woman. Every one of us is worthy. I know your life, I felt your pain. I know your joys and your shame. Sometimes it feels like life walks over you, like you're a penny on the ground.
Come through the roof.
Either on the ground or in your purse, the smallest piece still holds its worth. Every one of us is worthy. Baby, girl, worthy woman, every one of us is worthy. Baby, girl, worthy woman, every one of us is worthy. Worthy of love, worthy of life, worthy of saying no when something don't feel right. This is a song for you. For all the ups and downs that life will put you through. So listen up to this truth. You are me and I. You, everyone else is worthy. Yeah, baby girl, worthy woman. Every one of us is worthy. Baby girl, worthy woman. Every one of us is worthy. Baby girl, worthy woman. Every one of us is worthy. Baby girl, worthy woman. Every one of us is worthy. Every one of us is worthy. Every one of us is worthy.
If we're thinking the message is in the music,
It's it there.
every one of us is worthy.
Yeah.
Message is definitely in the music.
That's India Irie. Okay, so if you're looking for that one, right, and the actual album of that one is called Worthy as well. So yeah, my young sister India Irie,
Yes.
rude as she may be, but still. Why is it always picking them rude girl them?
I don't know. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Why?
Me not know. Me not know. Oh dear. Yeah. One of the things though I have to say though, in my time I've been very, very, very blessed to have some powerful women in my life and around my life in them way there, you know. And in being around them, obviously it has molded the person that I am. Right? Don't get me wrong, there's been a few, you know, bad apples in there somewhere,
Mm.
right? But in general, I've been very, very, very blessed to have had many a good example of what womanhood can be and
Mm.
should be,
Mm.
and also had excellent examples of like a genuine marriage and relationship as well as an example as when I was growing up.
Mm.
So in them ways there, obviously it sets the blueprint for what I possibly would want for myself
Mm.
as well, you know?
Mm.
So that was always been one of the major factors for myself as well, you know? Um we we've also right that even now right when you like because obviously I'm like more mature in my time now, but like to have that other side of where people and young people are comfortable to come and speak to me
Mm.
or with me
Mm.
about like things that they would see for themselves. So in many ways, as much as I used to look to like more mature people in relationships and things for their example,
Mm.
I know that I am in that position as well for others as well,
Mm.
because they they may not say it to me directly, but they're watching,
Mm.
they're observing.
Mm.
How do I interact with others, and even when I do interact with them, right, do they feel comfortable around somebody like myself or whatever? You understand? So therefore, it's a very, very important thing. And we're supposed to appreciate our young people, right? To bring the best out of them,
Mm.
right? Imagine you have an excellent young person, and then their ego or their personality is crushed by a bad example
Mm.
or a bad
Mm.
experience,
Mm.
which some it has happened. It has happened, you know. But let's not be the person or be part of something that is going to crush the future as we have it for our young people. You
Mm.
know.
Mm.
All right. So anything?
Yeah.
Go
You're gonna no, go for it.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I'll try to turn myself down there. Right. We're coming up to the. Oh my gosh. I thought we was at the past the one.
No, we're past the two.
Past the two.
We're coming up.
Oh.
We're coming up to the home straight.
The home straight. No. Oh. Oh. Anyhow, the lines are open. 0203-289-65004. We still have our brother um
Apple.
Akram. He's on the line there. Right. Do you have any commentary, my brother?
Sorry? Yeah. You mean on the situation? Well, as I said, this Sunday is the Women's Day.
Saturday.
Is it coming up this Sunday?
It's the 8th. The 8th of March.
On the 8th, yeah. Okay, yeah, this Sunday. So, yeah. Month, right. Yeah. Well, as I said, things are changing, and of course, it is vitally important that our sisters do come together and empower themselves, because many times they've had to do that anyway, because the men sometimes fall forth, and really speaking, we really need to be doing more to the upliftment of our system. I mean, they've had to do a great struggle, in bringing up our children and so forth, and things like that. So we have to give them the strength and the ability to cope. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, I really admire our sisters. I mean, I see them pushing the pram and then another child in the hands, and you know, we really need to give them the respect that they deserve, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Really. So yeah, I mean, all power to the women's liberation. I mean, to the Women's Day, and I hope that everything turns out okay for them there, and that the functions that they create is actually hopefully, as I said, bring them together. You know, I mean, that they form more organizations to strengthen themselves. You know, so that many of them is not falling prey to idiotic situations. You know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
talking
hoping that will come out of that situation.
Yeah.
Thank
Let
you.
me let's share that information one more time. Yeah. What about that event that you highlighting there?
Okay, so the event is there's a video that you could play for one bit. That's it.
Has it got audio on it?
Yeah, I think it has. I don't know. Well, it's called, the title is Definition Redefined, and they're looking at a commission on Black women and girls, recognizing then that, and I know Palmer Black she was on a podcast probably about 7 to 10 days ago, and she highlighted or spoke about why the commission on Black women and girls. And the bottom line is that if you were to go to society, any of those institutions, asking for some support, some help to look at the areas around Black women and girls, you get excuses, but you wouldn't necessarily get the support. So she, as the founder of Soul Purpose 360 and other members within Soul Purpose 360, recognize that if you want something done within the community, for the community, that will uplift and enhance the community, you need to do it yourself. So that their national conference is on International Women's Day on Saturday, the 8th of March, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it's at the Resources Centre, and that's London N7 6PA. So you can get tickets for the event on Eventbrite. It is a paid event. It will, whilst you're there, you're going to hear inspiring and inspirational speakers. There'll be a book launch. There'll be dance performances. There'll be one-on-one business surgeries from a coaching and other point of view. There'll be workshops. There'll be a marketplace. You can go and, I would say, bring your money or your credit cards or some form of something you can exchange, because there'll be stalls there. And there'll be a photo exhibition. So Brother Aston said there'll be bartering. If you're speaking to those on the stalls, there may be an opportunity to do some bartering. I recognize that I'm aiming to get a stall. So I have published on Kindle my solo book. Just waiting for Kindle to give the okay before it goes live on the Amazon platform, on the Kindle platform. I won't have any of those books
on hard copy
as hard copies at the event, unfortunately, because of the time, and I have waited too long in order to make it happen. That will still happen after the event, but I'm not going to allow that to stop me from attending the event. And you'll get an opportunity of meeting me face to face. We can have a one-to-one conversation. If there is any coaching or any mentoring or anything like that you'd like, and if I can't do it, I'll quite happily show you and support others, whether they be at the event or others that I know that may be able to support you. One of the things that I will always say is that let's have the conversation. And if the conversation is right, we'll make it happen. If the conversation isn't right, it will be right with somebody else. Not saying anything is a worse space to be in. So that event's going to be, so far from a ticket point of view and from an activity point of view and the opportunities that you'll get there, it's looking really, really, really good, and something that you want to make the effort to attend and block out the day. You're
Mhm.
worth it.
Yep. Take that day out. Take your young women out as well, right? Show them their worth. Okay, show them
Go
their
on a
worth.
Eventbrite and enter 360 Song Purpose, and you'll be able to pick up the tickets there, or enter Definition Redefined
Mm,
360 National Conference.
well
Again, you'll
done.
see, and you'll be able to purchase the tickets.
Well done. Well done. Well done. This is what we like to see. This is what we like to hear. Live events, and we can be in attendance. And it's not only for women only, right? Gentlemen, if you're interested in knowing and supporting our sisters as well, pass through, right? One of the things that as you were going through your presentation there, I was recalling in my mind the time that I met Queen Afua, who was up in Brixton Town Hall, and she was one of the speakers who was up there, and after she done her presentation and everything like this, I thought, okay, then this is for the women, you know. She had a book at the time. What's it called now? Sacred Women.
Yeah.
Sacred Women. I'm not too sure if you know of it. Yeah, you know that Sacred Women, right? And they had the book there. And my interest is just like health and well-being, right? So in that way, then I thought to myself, you know what? Even though there are aspects of it that you can translate to a man's health, but why is it that we just didn't have that specific guideline, just like how she wrote it out for the women, right? Because obviously she was looking at her journey and sharing her journey through the material and everything. But she had two young men, two young boys. I say two young men, two young boys, two sons, right? And and she kept mentioning in her presentation, right? And I said, and I did say to her after, I said, why is it that you haven't written one for men, right? And then she even said to me, but you can pick up from what's in the woman's guide, in that guide there for women, and you can look for what's men. I goes, no. I goes, it's not that we can't pick it out, but we just want something specifically for man, a book for man type of thing, And I don't know if it was me that inspired her or others had said it as well, right? But a few years later, she came out with Man Heal Thyself, right? Obviously a slimmed down version, but it was like put together as a guideline type of thing. And using that protocol, and it's a 12-week protocol, right? And it goes through like a total body cleanse and rejuvenation process, right? So it's a 12-week rejuvenation and body cleanse, right? Involving obviously like herbal supports, dietary support as well, right? Of various levels. Like, so if you're a meat eater, right, you can still go through the protocol. Obviously it's gonna go through the reducing of that. If you're a vegetarian or vegan or whatever aspect, but it goes through all those things there, but it has those things to support you all the way through. Okay, so in doing that, along with like exercise programs, from the beginner to the more person who's more familiar to exercises and everything else. Anyhow, but like even for that, right? There's the information that we have out there,
Mm.
right, is readily available for all of us, right? Yes, you have to tailor it for yourself personally,
Mm.
right? For instance, now, you know, the variety of like spiritual approaches that many of us take,
Mm.
right? It's not that we are held down to one way and that's it,
Mm.
or one belief and that's it,
Mm.
right? But at the same time, there's elements of the protocols that we can follow and we should follow, right? For maintenance of our general health,
Mm.
right? Which could be transformational for our community as well. Because I'll tell you now, when you walk around and you observe people, right? And I'm talking about us Londoners, right?
Mm.
And as
Mm.
I'm walking around and I'm observing people, and I'm thinking, why is every more than every other person walking around with a cane? Like they can't walk unsupported.
Mm.
Why?
Mm.
You know? Why is it that the majority of us are walking with some kind of buckle wheel, as I'll call it?
Mm.
You understand? Right? Why? You know? And and then, you're looking at everyone and you think, is there anybody actually healthy out here?
Mm.
That goes into like go through their life and they're actually healthy throughout the thing, healthy throughout their whole life, right? And obviously we are challenged by different foods,
Mm.
and or lack of foods,
Mm.
because obviously the non-nutritional value of what a lot of the foods are offering, right? But lack of foods and dietary requirements that we need, right,
Mm.
or that is necessary, right? So therefore we can't allow that to be the excuse.
Mm.
We can't allow that.
Mm.
You understand?
Mm.
So even in the sense of the nurturing that I know that a lot of our sisters are very capable of, and they have been capable of,
Mm.
right? Of looking to the welfare of not only of the children but for their husbands
Mm.
and for their communities as well,
Mm.
providing a nutritional meal,
Mm.
right, for our elders
Mm.
as well. Because it's not everybody can cook.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
they might have the one and two trick, but it's not 3 and 4.
Mm.
You understand,
Mhm.
right? And like seeing some of the antics that some of these youngs are doing, they really need to learn how to do from things from the root to the tooth. And they really need to learn how to do things from the root to the tooth, because I'm telling you, it's a dire straits out here for the way how some of these youngs are going. You know?
Mm.
The way how some of these youngs are going, you think, Lord of mercy. We're going to let this lot be in charge of us? This is why Donald Trump is in charge, to be honest. You know? But in that way there, we need to have that foundation of yes, women, if it's going to take women and men equally,
Mm.
right,
Mm.
to look to the welfare of our new generation.
Mm.
So be it.
Mm.
So be it. You understand, right? Take it that some of them do not know how to rub banana, rub banana. rub flour and water together to make a dumpling.
Mm.
You understand?
Mm.
Some of them don't know. They don't know. They've never done it before.
Mm.
You understand? Right? So, you know, sometimes you're going to have to take it like that. Like, for instance, you take them over the summer holiday and say, nah, you're not going to eat no takeaway. You're going to cook your own food this week here. Right? For the next 7 days, you're gonna be preparing your own food, and guess what? You're cooking Sunday dinner too. You understand, right? You know what I mean? And that is a learning curve for a lot of them. That needs to happen.
Yeah,
it needs to happen. Don't feel silly. You can go down the road and yeah, I can get chicken and chips. Yeah, see potato there. Right? You understand? Because it's not always a case of that things are going to be readily available like that, right? And when you find out that pizza, how much is it now? 15, 20 pounds for pizza, right? And you can knock it up for like £4 in your own house.
Yeah, and change.
Yeah. You understand? And you think, hold on, wait a minute. Actually, I did do that in one of the social groups out there. Right? I said, actually, I could ask you the question as well. That I said, if you, it was in January when I put the question in. I said, if you were to eat just home cooked meals, right, for a year, how much would you save? Right? So obviously you're taking into account how much on average you would have for takeaways and everything and all this, yeah? And people, what?
I'm just doing the maths on average.
Yeah. So how much? Yeah, I'll give it to you, the listeners as well. Right? You can text it in on 079 47 or you could call in on 0203 289 6504. You can call in as well on that. You know. So how much would you save if you did not have any takeaway for 1 year? Just on average, right? Right? Considering that you do a weekly shopping, right? And then you do buy food for yourself, probably for a month worth. Have you ever seen the back of your cupboard as well? Yeah. No, some people never seen the back of their cupboard. Yeah. Nobody. Some people never seen the back of their cupboard or the back of their fridge. Right. They're probably end of the week disposal bag is heavier than the one what they're bringing in on the Monday.
You're chucking away a lot more of the food than you're eating.
So how much did you come up with?
It depends on how often you eat. Takeaways are saying that on average, if it's spending £10 a week or twice a week, you'll be spending anything around £240.
There you
go. For takeaways, if you'll save yourself at least £240.
Right. But if I told you right that most of them came back with the answer in the thousands.
Because they're eating takeaway. Because I'm of that generation that if I'm thinking takeaway, I'm not eating it 5 times a week or 6 times a week, and I see and I'm just amazed because I've grown up in that generation where if you wanted a McDonald's, good, bad or indifferent, Kentucky or any of the other, even Greg's, you'd walk down to the shop. You got to a point where you was driving to the local corner shop, but now you don't have to do that. You just pick up your phone and you just make that call, and as the advert says, who wants a this, who wants a that, it becomes a party order rather than just for me one. And when you pass some of these shops, you see the scooters and the bikes and the tricycles and the powered engine. And yeah, you think to yourself, wow, really? So I think I watched what show was it? It was that show where they look for investors. So effectively, you've got your 4 investors.
Oh, the Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
Dragon's
so I think I saw the Dragon's Den episode whereby one of those eats out where they started, and they put the question or put it to those 4, and effectively I think they weren't laughed out, but they couldn't see the concept. But they're older than me, so they wouldn't have understood that in less than 20 years, because that show wasn't 20 years ago, in less than 20 years it's a thing. It's everyone's got, or a lot of people have an app, and a lot of people will dine in to their local restaurant, big, small or otherwise, and they will order their food, and someone will come to your door, hand it over, because you don't have to do the money now because they've already taken your credit card details, and you're good to go. And for me, it's surprising some of the things that we've embraced, which, to be fair, isn't helping the health of the nation.
No, it's not.
Because a lot of people aren't necessarily picking the most nutritious food.
Well, then again, is it readily available?
And well, it is. It is readily available, but I know that, and the conversation I was even having with my brother, and it was the amount of, he bought something from a local chain, high-end chain, but it was still a chain. And he was just saying how much salt was in the food, because he was about to do a half marathon the next day, and he wanted something that was hot and nutritious. So he got the vegetables, but he also had the salt, heightened salt content. And a lot of these foods will have a heightened salt content. When you're doing it at home, you'll choose. You're not going to just pour the salt in and stop looking. You will measure it out, put a sprinkle of this and a sprinkle of that, and or just not even put it in at all. But when you get it from a recognized chain, they will put the salt in order to, or other things that you can either pronounce or not pronounce, but you look at it and you think to yourself, you know what, my body could really and truly do without that. Really and truly do without that.
He's talking about salt content, obviously. I think I've brought it up a few times, but the salt content over here in the UK is so much higher than in Europe as well. Like there are places over there where they banned having that extra salt in a lot of their products, you know, and in doing that, you can taste the difference straight away, you know, in all of their cooking and everything. And then obviously, if you're brought up in this starch and salt environment over here, and you've never tasted it, you go over there and you think, God, things taste a bit bland, you know, and then when you come back here, because you quickly do adjust to it, and then when you come back here and you think, oh God, I can't eat that, right? You know, and then you think that is in most of the things, sugar, all them type of thing there is all in there.
And it doesn't only come across as the name on the packet won't only say sugar and or salt.
No.
It will say something else, which means exactly the same thing, but in a different scientific or chemical format or composition. And you think to yourself, no, we're not doing ourselves any favors here when we eat in that fashion and in that way.
Definitely, you know. So, so as we reach to the top of the hour, the 1:45 now, right? Summarization.
So we've had an interesting conversation. We were joined by Brother Akram, and I recognise that some of you would have been sitting down and thinking and pondering. I would encourage you next strong to make contact,
Exactly.
phone in, and or send us a text.
Yeah.
But we were speaking about, well, with our first bit of our conversation was around, as individuals, we weren't speaking about religion. What were we speaking about before the hour? Just remind me. I know what the ancestral voice is and after the hour, but I'm just thinking about before the hour. We were speaking. Oh, you were speaking about our day and your day, and the first
My
and
day.
your day. I'm thinking about what we should, as individuals. Should is the wrong word. What we're encouraged to do as individuals, to do that introspection, to recognize and to do things for self. And Brother Aston was speaking about on the first of each month, he will have a ritual. And I'll use the word ritual in the beautiful sense rather than sometimes we see ritual and negative connotations. But in the beautiful sense where he pours into himself, where he loves himself, where he recognizes and celebrates all things Brother Aston.
The way you say it there, you know.
Well, the encouragement is that whether or not you do it on the first of the month, I've heard others say that you get ready, you put on your fineries and you get dressed up for somebody else, but you'll never do it for yourself.
Exactly.
So that is the same connotation, that same context in terms of do something for yourself. Do something nice for yourself that you can then makes you smile, makes you laugh, makes you think to yourself and walk in your power and your presence. So we're speaking about my day. Ancestral Voices was with a young man in Nigeria who spoke about being a young person. He's only 14. He's been on stages, and you can see by the way he talks and his presence and his poise that he's not just come. He has observed others and or naturally just gravitated towards, I have a message or something I want to share and I'm going to do it. And he's done it on one of the bigger stages in relation to it being a TED Talk. And speaking about and encouraging young people to have a voice, not only to be seen and not heard, but to be seen and heard. Encouraging those young people who are frightened or fearful or don't necessarily know or choose not to know what to do in some context, encouraging them to speak out because of the value that they can bring to any table. And he spoke about how he then worked with social media to raise his profile. So he's out there and he will be invited to the speaking engagements and invited to sit around the table whereby he can provide the young person's view and can provide an alternative narrative from what we may be fed by the normal news channels. We were then speaking, and I introduced in terms of just a topic, International Women's Day, which is on the 8th of March, Saturday coming, and spoke about, from a historical context, mentioned a number of women and what they've done, but then not only just leaving it there, recognizing then that from that reflection we can have and we do have the empowerment. That empowerment provides a collective strength, and there are things that we can do from a call to actions as individuals, which even though we may start as individuals, it moves into that collective movement. And that's in terms of volunteering at your community, supporting women-owned businesses, or mentoring a younger woman as an elder, as someone who has a life experiences. Speak to the younger women, share your experiences, your knowledge, your wisdom. Speak about the challenges that you faced, but not only speaking about the challenges that you faced, whether they be in the workplace or within education, but speak about the solutions and celebrate the wins, because there will have been a lot of those wins along the way that we may have, because we're rushing around and because we get involved in other things that are happening in and around us from a society point of view. We forget to celebrate those wins.
Yeah,
and
don't we?
Calling out then for the change. How do we call out for the change? So there'll be a number of international women's events this coming up, either Friday, Saturday, and or Sunday, and or even this month. There may be some other events that will be happening later on in the month. But I'll be at the Soul Purpose 360 International Conference, Definition Redefined, a commission on Black women and girls. And that's on Saturday at the Resource Centre, London, N17. So if you go onto Eventbrite and you type in the words Soul Purpose 360 events, you will find the event there, and you can purchase your tickets. And again, if we go back to where we started with Brother Aston speaking about the My Day and feeding into yourself. Sometimes we may say, okay, I can't be bothered to go there because you guys are charging for an event, and you know what, those things should be free. But we've just had a conversation about food, and you wouldn't blink and order something. You wouldn't walk down to the local, whatever it be, KFC, takeaway or whatever. You get someone to bring it to your yard, and you're prepared to pay. And that's not necessarily, that's going to feed your body for a millisecond, because sometimes the things that you think are good within that food, all things being equal, let's be graphic here, if it doesn't do something good for you, it's going to come out of your system in some shape or form.
I true that.
So why not go somewhere where you can feed your mind? Whereby as you feed your mind, it can grow. And if we attract, and we do attract what we put out there, when we feed the inside, when we feed it with the right food. Brother Aston, again, our earlier conversations was around the manifestation, and we spoke about the sunshine. It's gone in a little bit at the moment, but I'd say go out there and catch whatever you can.
Daylight.
Yes, it's still, the day is still light, so go out there. But we spoke about the manifestation, and the manifestation happens and can happen for each and every one of us listening here today. It's not unique to certain people, whether you be big, tall, black, white, rich, poor. It happens for each and every one of us. So my reasoning is, why not feed your mind in order to get the manifestations and the things and the beautiful things and the abundance that you want out of life? Because if you put rubbish out, if you put rubbish in, you're going to get rubbish out. It's as simple as that.
True that.
At least once you go to those events, you're going to come back with a pocket full of knowledge, a pocket full of wisdom that will help you to grow individually and or collectively.
Oh boy, I tell you, you can't stop this woman, you know. Can't stop this woman. Out and about. She's out there doing what she needs to do for the community. Anything else, my sister?
Nothing else for me, Brother Aston.
Nothing else. Nothing else. You sure?
I'm sure.
All right then. My people, until we meet again, until our paths cross again, let's live in peace and harmony. Let's bring oneness in this thing here, sir. So remember, Saturday, International Women's Day.
Empress so light, surely like my fire. Empress so light, I know she lifted me higher. Empress so light, when Empress so nice, these are the things. So nice, you can bet your life for the kids them safe. She always a look out for grandma and granddad. You will never hear she curse her mom. She speak highly about her father. And she speak about the Almighty as well. She don't even own no house nor no land. She's so royal behind, so she not wait no time. And if you deal with that, you have to stand up strong like a lion. And when she talk about love, she talk about honesty and kindness. She talk about respect and compassion, yeah. Embrace so nice. She really light my fire. Embrace so nice. No, she living in the higher. Embrace so nice. Embrace so nice. Embrace so nice. You're the top of the town. And she are the best thing on the She's spiritually round and culturally sound. Spiritually round and culturally sound. And every time when she comes around, everyone seems to want her attention. But I mind you a look she a mention. Embrace so nice, she ain't no clown. And even though she a talk of the town, and no one can speak bad about her. Them have to treat her like she a god. And she ain't no believer. She a ancient teacher. Embrace so nice. She really like my fire. Embrace so nice. I know she live in the higher. Embrace so nice.
Is that sister now? Is that sister now?
What coming in now?
Yeah.
Must be.
She's on that phone call, you know. Hello?
Let's
Hello? Say that again. Yeah. He passed off. Yeah. Okay then. Okay then. Yeah. I didn't look it up. How you doing? Let's see if I can put that.
One, two, three, 4, 5, step ahead.
How you doing, bro?
I'm talking, no skylarking, no compulsion, barking, no telling not talking. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, step ahead.
Let's start work now.
When you it's the sunshine in your head. Once you move, it's really outside the sunshine.
Stand in the sun. Don't bother the shade.
Not even a whole degree.
It's cool out there.
Poor environment countries.
We'll show you the light right now.
Our hearts become slowly feeling so much pain that we can feel.
Oh, yeah, I thought I was going to play it.
No, I didn't look up this information.
Stronger. Oh yes, we are. We can make it through everything. Every single day. Great we are. We are great, yes, we are. We can make it through every single day. Strong, yes, we are. Powerful, yes, we are. We can make it through every single day. We are great. We are great. We can make it through everything. Sometimes it doesn't feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And no back. It feels
This is not one bro. It's like
strong as we are, powerful as we are, we can make it through everything. We are great as we are, we can make it through everything. Sometimes it's really like open lips window of shining.
We are now boarding on platform. We are now boarding on platform.
In here. In here. They'll come this over picks up. I said, oh, okay. Yeah. Left things underneath there and up here as well. Okay. Is that right? Excellent.
Long as we are.
You rewind it again.
We are great, yes we are. We can make it through every single day. Strong, yes we are. Powerful, yes we are. We can make it through every single day. We are, we are, we are great, yes we are. We can make it through every single day. Sometimes it doesn't feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I know it confused me. Now control, no, no, we can't see into the future. Feel that better. One thing, don't go away, but we can stay that we are stronger than any obstacles. We are braver than what we strong as we are, powerful as we are.
You got glasses in there?
Strong as we are, powerful as we are.
I'm fine. I haven't had another one since you made me take it in the shop. Goodbye and look there.
See you like that.
Strong as we are.
That's crazy.
We are, and because we are,
You start holding the phone.
Yeah, good thanks.
because we are, and because we are, therefore I am.
Lock into the power station.
Might be running here.